Well, let me just start by telling you how delighted I am to be here, everyone. Thank you so very much. I love to share this talk. It's about us and who we want to be. Pardon me. I'm going to close this door. It's been quiet as a tomb in here all day. Of course, the moment I start talking, I can hear contractors out in the hallway having a chat. So I love to share this talk because often what I'm known for is innovation around customer experience and design, which is a subject that I'm intellectually stimulated by, and I have been for a really, really long time. And in fact, to be very clear, it's been my whole entire career, and I love it. I was just chatting about it not 25 minutes ago. I love thinking about and talking about the experience economy. My wife, Sherry, has told the same joke for years. I'm assuming it's a joke. We're still together. Sherry says, if you spend enough time with Dennis, he'll ruin everything for you, which is to say that when we're just going about our regular life, if Sherry should mutter these words, if we're at a restaurant or some kind of event, I love this. Well, I might say to her, well, do you want to know why? And then I'll deconstruct using certain frameworks how this magical experience is taking place. But what I'm chatting about today is totally different. Today, I'm talking about you and I. I'm talking about how at the heart, the beating heart of every wonderful endeavor, it's two things. The first is authenticity. You got to be true to yourself as you're learning all about your purpose, who you are. The greatest privilege in your life is being who you are and knowing it and sharing it without consequences. Embracing and loving yourself and sharing it, knowing what you're about, what you stand for. And the second, although there's typically only one beating heart, but the second is generosity, your desire to share it. Our friend Davin, he just had to do this event. He believes in purpose. He believes that purpose comes before starting with why, as he would respectfully say. I don't want to argue with anybody, but even before starting with why, there's something else, this idea of who you are. So I'm going to share something with you, a little bonus, then we're going to get right into this presentation. This presentation is about you and why you are the way you are. But if you just want to capture this or write this down, this is what I'm going to tell you. We go about achieving our goals backwards. We start with what we want. We start with this outcome. And I suppose the easiest one to use for all of us is you want to get a little bit more physically fit. So you say, that's it. I'm going to there's my goal. I'm going to get fit. I'm turning 50 years old this August. And a year ago on my birthday, I gave my wife a high five on my birthday and said, look, let's not even acknowledge this birthday. I'll see you in 12 months. Okay. I set this goal. So generally speaking, we say, well, let's just set this goal. Let's get more fit. And then the second thing we do is we say, and this is how I'm going to do it. And we focus on all these wonderful actions and activities. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to start doing this. No more eating after 8 o'clock. Every single day, I'm going to go on a walk. I'm going to do push-ups in my office. All this great stuff. And then the third thing we do is perhaps we say to ourselves, or the person with whom we are sharing said goal says, oh, so that's what you want to do. There's your outcome. And you're going to do it by doing these things. Yeah. What about how are you going to keep doing it? Haven't you told me something like this before? Oh, I remember a couple of years ago, you were really on a kick. And I just want everybody out there to privately think to themselves, how many times you've lost 10 pounds or 15 pounds in your life only to put it back on. You see me? Or you hear me? Let's not stick on that painful point. I just want to point that out. We set a goal. Yeah. And then we set about the actions and activities to make that goal happen. And our friend says, yeah, how are you going to stick it? Haven't you tried this before and it didn't happen? And then we say something courageous and beautiful, but completely ridiculous. We say this, well, this time I'm not going to quit. Well, I won't let myself do that. Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. This is just the bonus before we get into it. You got to turn that all around. And this is what this talk is about. This talk is called The Great Leap Forward because it's about you. So I'm going to tell you something nobody's maybe ever told you before. Goals don't set them. Quit setting goals. There, I've made it better for you already. There's something inherently backwards about setting a goal, which is that you delay your gratification until the goal is achieved. I will be happy when I exercise every day and look like a professional soccer player. I will be happy when I lose my 15 pounds. That's just wrong. Don't do that. Don't ever in your life delay gratification, because you never in your life know when it's going to end. Do not do that. Don't set goals. Instead, flip the whole thing upside down. Start with you, the great leap forward. Start with you. Normally, you're the last person. How are you going to keep doing it? Well, I won't quit. Well, that sounds great, but it's not enough. Start with you. Instantly, right now, just become that person you want to be. Change the narrative. Just become that person. I am a person who does this. I am a successful business owner. I have this purpose, and I'm here to share it with the world. Done. The second thing I want you to do is start to prove that to yourself every single day, who you are, and do it this way. By taking on a challenge that is so unbelievably easy to achieve, you can't lose. Dennis, I got to exercise every day. Okay, that sounds really great to me. How about this? Forget that objective. Yeah. Start with yourself. You do exercise every day. And here's your easy wins for the next 5, 6, 7 days. Every day, I want you to put your exercise clothes on. Do you want me to exercise? If you do, that's great. But a win is just put your exercise clothes on, and starting in a few days or next week, then you can start going outside your house and walk it in your driveway and back. Get some momentum going. Okay. And never ever worry about that goal. Instead, learn to fall in love with the systems that you will depend on to get you to that outcome. I looked this up the other day for a client of mine. How many pages does one page, Microsoft Word with text, represent in a book? What does one page equal in terms of pages of books? If I was going to write an entire book, a second one, in Microsoft Word, if I wrote a single page every day for 365 days, 365 pages, how many books does that make? Is it even one? Well, that's what I found out. If you wrote a single page every day in Microsoft Word, in 365 days, you'd have a trilogy. You're Tolkien, for goodness sakes. A trilogy. Let me put a bow on this. I'm telling you, just tell yourself you're a writer. Oh, I'd like to write. I want to write a book. Don't give me some far off on the horizon goal. That's not going to do you any good. Don't tell me you want to write a book. You're going to be happy and tell me we can celebrate. Not just when you've written the book, but I suppose when it's published, when it's on the shelf behind me, then can you be happy? Makes no sense. This is what I want you to do instead. I want you to just call yourself a writer. I'm a writer. Oh yeah? You know what the difference between people who say they're a writer and people that are writers is? They've written books? No. What makes Stephen King a writer is he writes every day, 2,000 words, even on Christmas Day. He's a writer. My friend Chris Jones is a writer. My friend Davin wrote a book. He's a writer. Fall in love with being a writer. Start with you, then fall in love with the actions and systems that produce books. Don't ever worry about writing the book. Worry about writing every day. You'll have more books than you need, okay? That's where we're going to go. You ready? I'm going to jump right into this now. I'm going to show you this wonderful PowerPoint. Oh, don't read my speaking notes. That's not fair. There we go. This is the great leap forward, everybody. And I recognize that Davin has built this incredibly cool event, you know, and you had all kinds of options as to what you were going to do with this 45 minutes, and you picked me, and don't think it doesn't mean a lot to me, because it absolutely does. So let's just get right into it and start right here. Somehow this idea of purpose really resonated with you, huh? You just really wanted to attend this. Some of you for the second time, some of you heard enough about it the first time around to be here. Davin continued, by the way, to push this in the midst of a pandemic where it looked like this wasn't going to end. Or pardon me, wasn't going to happen. And he continued to push resiliency. Resiliency, not determination to keep pushing forward, but every single time there was bad news or this is generous, or an opportunity for a plan B, C, D, E, F. The guy just took it and rolled with it. Davin took his great leap forward. So let's help you have yours. Anybody know who that is? It's Albert Einstein, obviously. I'm just going to let you know something interesting. This is one of the most most popular downloaded images on the internet. This picture, I did not know that when I chose it. And I suppose my question for you is, you're sitting there with this purpose, this idea, this mark you want to make. Good for you. Do you think you're a genius? Do you think that you figured something out that nobody else has ever figured out? Do you think that you possess some kind of perspective that would change the world? And I want to say you must, or you wouldn't have gone to this conference. You must know that you can make this impact. Well, the problem with Einstein, Steve Jobs, Stephen Hawking, Madame Curie, is they set the bar awfully high for the rest of us, huh? On this whole genius thing. I mean, I instinctively don't want to say, yeah, I'm a genius when I'm looking at Einstein. The guy came up with outrageous, theories, quantum mechanics that I can barely count. So when I'm looking at Einstein, I'm thinking, no, I'm not necessarily a genius, or at least I used to, but this is what I know. No, I am a genius. I am a genius. We live in a different world. Our children have it so much better than us. You ever think about that? I'm a 50-year-old guy. I went to school, grade school, sort of in the late 70s and the early 80s, and then into high school and university. I think I went to university in 1989. The whole experience is a little foggy. Okay. And I used to think that my older cousins, I'm now 50, my cousins are in their 70s. I used to think that my cousins went to school in the dark ages. Ooh, you went to high school in the 50s, in the 60s. And now I realize, no, my goodness, things just keep getting better. I went to high school in the bloody dark ages. I just didn't know it then. I didn't know it. Our children can do anything. They have technology, power, access, connection. The internet was a game changer. I don't want to get all lost down the rabbit hole. Anybody who knows me knows I can. But I'm just going to say to you, the internet changed us as a species. As a species. We're just too close to the fire to know right now. What I am telling you is, and I wrote about it years ago, I said, we are no longer Homo sapiens. We just don't know. We don't know that because we're too close to it. We're not going to know that for a couple of hundred more years. A couple or a few hundred even. Someone is going to say, it'll be before then, they're going to say, no, when the internet came in, just like the printing press, like the stirrup that allowed a person to ride a horse, like the fence post. Fence post? Oh yeah, huge, huge leap forward in human evolution. The fence post, yeah. We used to be hunters and gatherers. We used to be equal and even. Then what happened? Then somebody said, hey, I got a great idea. Why don't you put a fence post over there and then another one, and we can just put all the animals in that pen and we don't have to hunt them anymore. It changed everything. The internet changed us. We're not Homo sapiens. We're Homo technicus, which is humans that cannot live without technology. We are technology. We are one. Everything has changed. Einstein legit was a genius. Now when I say my daughter's a genius, she can prove it to you. Do you know who these two people are? Everybody knows the guy on the left. And how perfectly appropriate that I should talk about Henry Ford while you're standing there in Motor City. Motor City changed that city. This person changed the way we all live. He did something so significant, and everybody overlooks it. That, by the way, on the right-hand side is not the Ford Motor Company. That's a battery factory in England. I just like to put it in my PowerPoint because for those of you who are super cool out there, that's the factory that was on the cover of Pink Floyd Animals. Can you picture the big pink pig floating between the smokestacks? This is what Henry Ford did. He did not invent the assembly line. That's just, people get that confused. No, he didn't. What he did was he saw the assembly line and realized that would make a lot of sense if I brought that into a car factory. So he did. That's not the big deal. The big deal is what happened as a consequence. What happened as a consequence is that he also changed the way he paid people. He paid them, instead of 50 cents a day or $1 a day, he paid them $5 a day. Hear me out. The assembly line changed the way he paid people, and everybody paid people. We used to get paid based on replacement value. You get paid based on the fact that anybody can do your job, pal. You get 50 cents a day. And if you don't like it, beat it. Okay? Well, here's what happened. He leverages assembly line technology, starts paying people $5 a day. Changed the world. There was a lineup reportedly outside the Ford factory that was 10,000 people long. Okay? For everybody working in the factory that's now making 10 times what they were making the day before, you start looking over your shoulder thinking, maybe I'd like to have a coffee break. And you look over your shoulder and you see a lineup of 10,000 people that want to take your job that pays you too much. Yeah. Something really interesting happens in your head, doesn't it? It keeps you working. Henry Ford looked at productivity, not replacement value. And the second thing he did was this. He ensured a shift away from craftsmanship and art to the lowest common denominator. He literally I'm looking for anything that represents a lever, scissors. He literally said, everyone listening to me right now, come on, we would all, if we could afford it, buy a car made by hand. Its imperfections is what makes it art. Everybody here would drive a Ferrari if they didn't cost that much or something. They're beautiful, form and function. Come on, we're people, it's who we are. What Henry Ford did was this. He stripped away artistry. He stripped away craftsmanship and he replaced it with a lever. Pull that lever. Just pull that lever, push the part. Pull the lever, push the part. And if you get in any trouble, maim yourself and can't go to work, well, unfortunately for you, but fortunately for us, we got to line up 10,000 people long outside, people that would happily take your position. I don't have to look hard to find a craftsman. I just have to find a worker. Now that's something very significant. A factory is what? It's a system of inputs. If you put a bunch of parts in it and a bunch of people and you assemble them this way, Ford cars, pickup trucks, F-150s roll out the back door. That's a system. A schoolyard, a school classroom is a system. My business is just a system. That's all it is. Being married is a system. Everything that works is a system. A system is something that's predictable and works. This right here is the Singer sewing machine. About the time that Henry Ford was around, this thing right here was the most sophisticated bit of equipment in the world. Technology-wise, my goodness. Can you imagine how that machine changed the workload, the energy management, the time management of the average household in America having one of those things? At the time that was made, this is very interesting, there were no hardware stores. Something broke on that Singer sewing machine. You didn't go to, I'm up here in Canada, you didn't go to Canadian Tire. You didn't go to Lowe's or Home Depot or your local hardware store. You went to a craftsman. You went to a blacksmith and you said, this piece broke. Can you make me another one? And they would fashion that by hand. On the right-hand side is a Singer sewing machine today. It's a room full of people. Now, hear me out. It's a room full of people who what? Who do a job. Yep. It doesn't take a lot of thinking. Doesn't take a lot of thinking. Doesn't take a lot of technical skill. What it does take is a willingness on behalf of the worker to trade their time for money. And to believe that this sacrifice that we make of giving our time to something else for this cash that we can then not invest, we should invest, but that we can blow on stuff, consumption, will make us happy. And it won't. It won't make us happy. It might make you happy for a little while, but it'll fade. This is another little bonus for you. Stuff is overrated. You can buy $100,000 car, earn the right to do so if that's your thing, afford it, the whole 9 yards. After a little while, when the buzz wears off, the buzz, yeah. It's just another thing you have to tidy, clean, and spill coffee in. It's just another thing you'll get tired of. You were so happy to get that 3 Series BMW. How's your 5? Oh, you don't have a 5 Series anymore. You went right to the 7? You just kept trading it up, right? But what about memories? A memory is a receipt of an experience. The older stuff gets, the less it matters to you. The older memories get, the more they matter to you. Remember that. So here we have these factory workers changing the way we think. So what did you need if you owned the factory? Well, you needed workers, as I said, who will show up and do their job every day, happy to be getting this big paycheck, terrified of the people that can replace them. And what did those people at work learn to do? Get along with their boss, show up on time, and not rock the boat. Where do you find people like that? I mean, once you went through the first round of hiring and pulled all the farmers out of the fields and changed their lives financially instantly, what about 10 years from now, 17 years from now, 31 years from now? Where the heck are you going to find all these people that just show up and want to work? Well, here's where you get them. You get them from school. And most people know this, but it's always sort of positioned that these industrialists funded the public education system for, through altruism. No, they just needed factory parts. And a great place to get factory parts was to make your own. A school is a system. A classroom's a system. Look at these kids. They all look the same. Look at them. They have the same haircut. What did you learn? This is what's wrong, not wrong. This is the thing you got to overcome. What did you learn? I'm 50. What did I learn 44 years ago, 45 years ago? At 5 years old, when I went to kindergarten, what did I learn? What'd you learn? Same thing. You learned to fit in quickly. You learned what happened to people who don't. Kids can be cruel. You learned all through school what? To tamp down your creativity, to make the teacher happy. My goodness, one of my eldest daughter, the teacher, at one point approached me to, tactfully say, I'm concerned that your daughter might have a problem. Oh, I said, what's the problem? The problem was she was coloring oranges purple. Okay, well, you ready? There's nothing wrong with my daughter. She just was little. She really liked the color purple. Okay, we teach them to listen to the teacher, respect the principal, raise their hand, answer questions, and we learn right away, don't put your hand up if you don't know, you look silly. And looking silly is bad. You don't look silly. I have 2 kids. One of them's a teenager going on to 14. One of them's only 8. 2 little girls, they're both beautiful. Oh my God, I love them. Well, let me tell you the 2 things about them that are interesting. Ella, Mia. When Ella was little, every single thing that she created, I put it on the fridge. Everything she made, she brought to me like, this is fridge worthy. And it always was. But then Ella got into school. Now the poor dear's going into high school. I encourage all kinds of truancy, lest she become institutionalized. She is not nearly as certain and sure about what she creates as her little sister. Little Mia, she creates all day. She still believes that everything is worthy of my refrigerator door, which I love her for. This is Adam Smith and Karl Marx, the least funny of the Marx brothers. They both had opposite thoughts about the power of a factory, and they were both right. Karl Marx looked at it and went, oh my goodness, would you look at what a factory can do? Productivity, assembly lines, look what they're cranking out. Look at the wealth being generated. Holy cow. The workers are going to become poor, enslaved to these robber barons. The productivity should belong to the people, to the state. Okay, just everybody hold on here. He wasn't wrong. He was not wrong. Just everybody hold on. Go to Adam Smith. He wrote a book called The Wealth of Nations. He made the exact same observation that Karl Marx did. Holy cow! Factories are incredible. What the hell you can do with them? This is a scale I can't even imagine. Whew! Everybody should go get a factory. Hear me out. You ready? He wasn't wrong. Both these guys were right. That was exactly it. Now, this is what I said a moment ago. Our children are way luckier than us. Way luckier. Here's why. We couldn't afford factory. Who's going to buy a factory? You had to be born to it. Like, that's a really hard thing to do. Yeah, I suppose anybody who knows about money and capital and has connections could get a big pool of money together and maybe buy a factory if they know how to put a business plan together. Oh, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, this is my factory right here. It's my MacBook Air. I've had two. Yeah. I can say all kinds of things about Mac, experience, building it for people who care, but we'll just stick to the task at hand today. Bit of an occupational hazard with me, the wormholes. You can buy a MacBook for $1,500, let's say. You can also buy one just as powerful, not made by Apple, for a third of the price. Isn't that interesting? If you just want to go buy a machine that works, there's all kinds of PC laptops that are completely lovely. I choose to use a MacBook because of Apple. I buy into Apple, what they're about. They matter to me. I see them as a necessary, welcome partner in my life. They help me become somebody cool. But just the same, they change the way I create, is what I'm trying to say. I appreciate form and function. I love that it works, of course, but I also just like what it feels like in my hand. I like that it's light, and I like that it makes sense. But for you, let's just stick with $500 laptops for now. I read one time, however many years ago, the new Star Wars movies started coming out, the prequel ones. This is some time ago. This is, I don't even know, mid to, I guess, late 90s, I suppose, I think somehow. And I read an article with George Lucas, who created that whole universe. And he said something that at the time I just like, wow. He said, with what you buy in a laptop computer, a movie studio, a soundstage, the whole nine yards, goes, two guys, is how he put it, two guys could make the movie Star Wars, the original Star Wars, in their garage for about $100,000. That's what he said. You could make the whole movie Star Wars, the original one, in your garage for $100,000 because of what comes packed into that machine right there. And those machines, as you know, are so affordable, so cheap, that you don't even fix them. You just throw them out and buy another one. They last forever. This little fella here is Brennan Agronoff. This is my point about kids and the great leap and us and how we have to undo being institutionalized without ever recognizing what they did to us. They indoctrinated us. They made us sit in rows. We stifled our creativity. We didn't just color the oranges orange. We stayed within the lines. Answers were right or wrong. We were conditioned to listen to the authority figure in front of us who gives us permission. Permission to do what? Anything, including go to the bathroom. We learned to make the boss happy. And a really simple substitute for the teacher was the floor manager. By the time you were an older teen, leaving formal education to go work in a factory, pardon me, not rocking the boat, not putting your hand up in a meeting to say, I got a better idea. Respectfully, sir, I don't think that's the idea for us. We had learned not to do that. Well, this is Brennan Agronoff. He had the same idea I had when I was in high school playing high school basketball. For anybody old enough, there used to be this alcoholic beverage. It was like a fruit-based boozy drink. And The brand was Bartles and James, if you recall them, perhaps. Two old actors playing Bartles and James. We're Bartles and James. Thank you for your support. And they would put these commercials on TV about these alcoholic beverages they made. Well, about that time when that was going on, I had the same idea this kid had. And I remember telling my dad about it, and he agreed it was a great idea. And I explained to my dad how all I really needed was a whole bunch of money to make these socks. And then I just needed enough money to buy TV time. Apple Computers, 1984, they bought one television commercial at the Super Bowl. Interesting question to consider. If Apple Computers were founded and launched today, would they bother buying a TV commercial in the Super Bowl? No, because the internet, it connected us. What are you talking about, Dennis? Before they had to buy that damn ad and do the 1984, George Orwell commercial to get, just once they showed it, it got the whole world talking, the whole audience talking, and that's what launched them. Today, we're all connected. If I create something amazing and impressive that nobody else has made, my fresh take, if I bring craftsmanship to my work, informed by purpose, and just one of you sees it, you're connected to the whole world. I don't need to buy a commercial, neither does Apple, and neither do you. What you need to do is make something that everybody's waiting for. This thing inside this idea you have, quit sitting on it. That's your grade 4 teacher messing with your head. Marcellus Wallace. You got a computer? Yeah. Is it used? You got a factory. You're connected to the whole world. You got LinkedIn? Done. You got YouTube? Great. You got a TV station now. Way to go. Got a blog yet? You got a blog, right? A blog is a newspaper column, but you don't need permission from the editor to tell you your story's any good and that you can post it. You just have the courage to write the damn thing and hit publish or post, and you put it out, and then you need the courage to show up and do it again. That's all. What you don't need and don't have and never have to have is anybody's permission to do it. This kid's at a high school basketball game, and he thinks it's weird that all the kids on both teams wear the same socks. White basketball socks, sports socks. He founded Hoop Swag, and he made $1 million in his first year. That's impressive enough. This is Michaela Ulmer. She did something I used to do. I wish I could see all your faces. Did we all have lemonade stands when we were kids? I did, right in front of my parents' house at 1155 High Street. Yes, I'd sell it to all the kids going to high school, the Catholic school, or the public school. I didn't care. Whoever it was, are you thirsty? I am 5 and cute. Give me 25 cents and buy this damn lemonade. I'm certain it was true for this girl. I love the look on her face. So she's now 15 years old. She started making lemonade. She adds honey to it. See how she's in like a bee and beekeeper suit there? And then she struck a little deal up with a pizza joint in town. They could buy her lemonade. By the time she was like 15 years old, she cooked up a whole other deal for $11 million. That's 11 million with an M, with Whole Foods. Who are these kids? They're kids who haven't been told they can't do it. They're your kids. And remember, inside you, you're just a kid. Your subconscious has no idea how old you are. Okay? I've said it now 3 times. So I guess it's hard to say 3 times in a 45-minute talk that I'm turning 50 and then say, and I'm not obsessed with it. But I'm not. I just keep thinking like the rest of you think, which is this. I don't feel 50. I kind of feel like a kid. I'm filled with infinite possibility here. How about you? How about this guy? Forgive me. This is the only curse word I'm going to use all day. This is the most low-key badass you're ever going to meet in your life. I know because I met him. Does anybody out there read Farnham Street, the blog? It's one of the most popular blogs in the whole entire world. This is Shane Parrish. Look it up. Everybody reads this person's blog. Former presidents of the United States subscribe to this guy's blog. So imagine my surprise. This is his story. I met him because one of my clients in the United States paid a reasonably high sum of money, probably $5,000, to go away to Hawaii and hang out with Shane Parrish. And it's Shane, my client Dino, and then like a handful of other smart nerds that like to read and then talk about it. Otherwise known as not necessarily your idea of a great holiday. Shane Parrish was a Canadian intelligence officer. You have the CIA. Ours is called CSIS. And I don't know if you know this, that whole Five Eyes thing. It's something you might want to Google these days. So Shane Parrish one day says to his boss, I don't know if I'm doing a great job. His boss says, what do you mean? Shane says, the intelligence that I gather and the reports that I put together, that I hand in, that people in the field use to inform their decisions. Yeah. I don't know if I'm giving them like the best information. His boss said this, welcome to intelligence. We never know if we're giving everybody the best information. We just do the very, very best that we can. Shane Parrish had a very, very simple goal, and that goal was every day I am going to go to bed a little bit smarter than I was when I woke up that morning. That's it. Every day I am going to read something and write a blog about it. The blog is now called Farnham Street. The Knowledge Project is something within Farnham Street about making better decisions. When the blog initially launched, the blog address, you ready? Was the zip code to Berkshire Hathaway head office. Really? Yeah. The first two people he got really interested in was Warren Buffett and specifically Charlie Munger and how they make decisions. How do they know? How do they sleep at night so confident? How do these guys approach their problems? He came up with the most obscure blog name, website name, and never worried about anybody finding it. That's not what he was trying to do. Remember what I said, forget your outcomes, start on the actions, start writing a blog every day. And if it's really amazing, everybody's going to find it. I think 100,000 people subscribe to his blog. Are you ready? For $149 US a year, I'm one of them. When I met him, he was the most low-key guy I've ever met. We live in the same town. His office was in the office I worked out of 20 years ago. I don't mean the building, I mean the room. Totally low-key. Didn't wait for anybody's permission. He just did it. This is fellow hyphenated person. It's good to have them around. This is Whitney Wolfe Herd. What's she? Who is she? She's the world's youngest self-made billionaire. You're kidding. I am not kidding. She started and founded two apps that have, of course, taken the world by storm, which are dating apps, Tinder and another one. At the risk of being convenient, I don't know what the other one is called. That was all after my time. My mind reels. So here's my question for you. What's scarce? All of those people had an idea. All of the means, everything that they needed was right in front of them and they went and did it. What's scarce? I've asked this question forever. My answer used to be time. Time. Well, nope. That is certainly scarce. But there is something far more scarce these days than even time. My answer was always time. Time, energy, money. Time. It's the only thing I can't get back. Followed by energy. Oh, I hate wasting time and the energy that is required to recover, not just to get the task done, but the energy that is required to be angry with myself and then get through that. Money. Blown ton of it, lost tons of it, really doesn't matter. That's just money. You can always make lots of money. That's the easiest, there you go. But the older I get, did you know I'm turning 50? But the older I get, and particularly when I look at the world I'm living in right now, I've got a different question. What's scarce is empathy. What's scarce is humanity and compassion. Every place and everywhere seems somehow a little tiny bit more mean than it did before. There seems to be quite a divide between us and them. There is a non-willingness to see each other's point of view. I'm not saying agree with it. I'm just saying to be able to appreciate another person's life experience and how they have arrived here at the same place as you, but from a totally different direction. Humanity is scarce. Compassion, kindness, and empathy. That's what's scarce. Here's the other thing that's scarce. Art. Art. You'll find anybody willing to do assigned work. You'll find anybody willing to show up and do what's required. But you don't find too many people like our friend Davin who say, no, I'm gonna do even more than is required. While I'm doing this full-time job and running my family and doing all this great stuff, I'm also going to start a movement. You don't find a lot of people like that. You find a lot of people willing to do, you know that expression when people say, Lisa, no problem, it's the least I can do. But you know, you ever met a person who literally means that? No problem, Dennis, it's the least I can do. In fact, if I could do less, I would. There's no shortage of people like that. That's why people who stand out, because they're willing to do something others aren't. And this is the whole reason you came to this summit. It's the whole reason you're turned on by purpose, because you think like an artist. Your work is your gift. Do you know what the biggest difference between artists and employees is? People who have jobs do their jobs to get paid. Whereas an artist would do their job and in fact do their job without any guarantee of pay. I have a friend of mine who's an artist. He lets me into his studio. It's a really big deal. One time I'm in there and he does installation pieces. He's done very, very well. He does a lot of work a lot of his work becomes big central pieces in Canadian embassies around the world. I mean, he's not just an artist, he's an artist that has made some money. My goodness, they're rare. One time he brings me into his studio. If you're an artist, you know what a compliment that is. And I look at this huge piece. It's bizarre and I don't get it, but that's art. And I say to him, wow, who's this for? And he goes, oh, like he's almost lost in thought. And he looks at me and goes, I don't know. So I'm curious. I say, how do you sell something like this? Like you made it, it's great. Like, do you call embassies? Do you call your dealer? Who do you talk to? And he literally says to me, I don't know if this is ever going to sell. And then he said, Dennis, if I don't make it, if I don't create it, I'm going to die. That's what he said. If I don't make this thing, I'm going to die. Do you feel that way about your work? Can you take your work and change it and reinterpret it to do what you need it to do? The meaning of your life is to find your gift. The purpose of your life is to give that gift away. The challenge is, this is my attempt at a Venn diagram, is that we've been conditioned to be the people in the blue. Just work really hard, Dennis, for goodness sakes. Give them what they want. Don't complicate, don't confuse, just show up and work hard. And Dennis, for God's sakes, try to be perfect. Oh my goodness, no spelling errors, no missing phone calls, no being 5 minutes late. Put your whole life on pause to run this ball across the goal line. Wonderful. We live in a world that doesn't reward that like it used to. We live in a world that is desperate for something else. And what that is art. Compassion, humanity, empathy. People that care. It's why when we find something amazing, whether it's a thing, an idea, a place to join, a place to go, it's so easy to identify it because it stands right out waving. There's pessimists listening in right now. Does the world need another podcast like the one I want to launch? Yes. Yes, and they're waiting for it. So go and make it. But make something good, not safe. Something inspiring. Don't go recreate your favorite podcast. Take that favorite podcast and add yourself into it. What's missing? Somewhere we need to bring these worlds together, these worlds of trying to be perfect and a willingness to make mistakes, to push something forward. And this is something I've talked about forever and a day. This is the lizard, which is a part of your brain. It's a part of your brain. It's the oldest part of your brain. Pardon me about for the click there. And what this part of your brain does is it has been trained to identify the things that make you uncomfortable and label them as unsafe. Not only label them as unsafe, and I do this for effect looking at you like this, but to fixate on them. It sees nothing. It blocks everything out but that problem, that obstacle. Think of the lizard as a habit. It's neither good nor bad. It's just simply effective or ineffective. The lizard, for instance, doesn't want you to do things that are bad for you. If you happen to be addicted to cigarettes, that's not good for you. So you should quit smoking. You'll live longer. You think the lizard would be on that? Yeah, absolutely. Let's get you to hate cigarettes. No, the idea of quitting smoking or drinking or whatever your vices are makes you uncomfortable. The lizard shows up and says, I know you want to quit smoking and you should. Just, and it rationalizes with you. But, you have this packet of cigarettes left and there's like 15 in there. So, since you're going to quit smoking and never smoke again, why don't you finish those 15 first and really enjoy them? Because that's it. Then you're never going to smoke again. The lizard doesn't say to you, no, you can't create this great thing. The lizard whispers in your ear, not yet. Just pause, not yet, not yet, not yet. Okay? That's the lizard. It's not an adversary. I'm going to get you. It's an ambassador with an agenda. Oh, I love this Purpose Summit. I did 3 days of having the mud blown right off the top of my brain. Oh, did you? Yes, it was wonderful. Speakers, networking. I learned all this great stuff. I am going to change the freaking world. I'm ready. I got out of this thing what I need. I'm going to give that Davin guy a hug. Thank you, buddy. When I go home tonight, I'm going to kiss my kids, kiss my wife, hug everybody. Then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to sketch out the overview of my personal manifesto. Rah! You go right on. And the lizard goes, yeah, right on. And then it does this. Just got a minute. You're pretty fired up and, I'm pretty excited for you. Sounds to me like you're about to change the world. Then it says this. But, you did just spend 3 days at the Purpose Summit, which was wicked. I agree with you. Totally great. Love that guy we met, right? It's on your side, the lizard. Oh, it's great. But I'm just saying after 3 days of being away from work, you're kind of busy and you are, admit it to yourself, a little tiny bit tired. I'm just saying. So, how about this for a plan? Why don't we go home just like you said, but tonight we'll just order a pizza. And we're going to tell the kids and Sherry all about this great inspiring idea you have. And then why don't you take a couple of days to recover? And then first thing Monday morning, let's start to kick it. Let's get that thing tackled on Monday. That's what happens. It slowly but surely talks you out of it. Here's the great leap forward. Starts with you. Don't tell me who you're going to be. Tell me who you are. Tell me what I'm a writer. Really? How do I know? Did you write something today? Then you are a writer. Then you are. Tell me who you are. Tell yourself who you are. Yeah, and then what? And then prove it to yourself a little tiny bit every day. That's all. That's all you got to do. Just keep doing it day after day. And slowly but surely, you'll build your audience. Whenever you bump up against the lizard, remind yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate, self-aware. Hey, it's okay. Have a plan. It's okay. A little bit at a day. What if you miss a day? I didn't write yesterday. Never miss 2 days. That's okay. Do you have a plan on the shelf you can grab? And what are you going to do that day you wake up and say, damn, today is the day I didn't roll the ball down the road because I got busy and this and that. It's okay. Change the narrative. Be nice to yourself. Be kind. Dennis, please, Rome wasn't built in a day. You thought you were going to do this on your own? Be kind and then immediately take action. Don't miss twice. Everybody, let's get connected and talk and keep this conversation going. Dad, thank you for the inspiration. Thank you, Adam.
Dennis. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. We wish you were here at the Purpose Summit, but I cannot be more grateful for your session and for your participation once again, brother. I can't wait. What great calls to action to go and do something with this. Go and write that book that you need to write. Start the blogging, start the podcast, go and create the thing that champions your unique purpose to make the difference in the world that you were created to uniquely make. Dennis, so grateful for your brother, and we will look forward to seeing you here in 2022.
I will be there, and I'll see you in Canada before that, my friend. See you, D. Congratulations. Congratulations, everyone, for attending.
See you, D.